Welcome back to another Rising Games video. The new commanders just dropped. It's time to take a look and see if they're worth your investment. So let's begin right here. We've got David, which is this new commander here. It is the garrison commander. And then we have a commander I'm going to call Gang. I think that's just easiest for now. We'll see what name he ends up with. Maybe like GG. We'll see, right? But let's take a look, right? We have these skill cycles. I invite you to look first at David, and we'll go back and look at the Gang here. And you can see it was like almost a pinning effect, right? It's pretty neat. Nothing too crazy. It's just like swords pinning down, in my opinion at least. Here, though, you have this really cool, almost like a battlement, I guess whatever this device is, that pushes right through. I think it's very cool. So, are they going to be worth getting? Let's get right into talking about it. So, excuse the thumbnail. So, let's talk about Gang here. First, let's look at his active skill. It is a single target skill. And mind you, this is the open field commander. So right away that says he has to be really good because he's single target. Usually that means they're dead in water. But let's see, right? You have people like Huo who've lasted a while. Nevsky lasted for a good bit back when he came out. So launch 2 combo attacks against a target troop. 1400 damage factor. That's about par for the course. That's, good. It's fine. For the next 5 seconds, this commander's troop gains a star blessed effect, which is 5% more health for cavalry, 5% more defense for cavalry, and 100% increase of the healing from your later starlight skill. So we're going to get to that, right? Then this one is super exciting to me. Open the floodgate skill. Whenever this commander's troop deals combo attack damage to a field troop, it has a 30% chance to reduce the target's defense by 40% for 5 seconds. This effect can trigger up to 3 times in a second. Cooldown of 5 seconds. And remember, it has a 5-second uptime. So this is craziness. That's 40% defense. Massive nerf. What I will point out is field troop means you cannot use this for a rally or a garrison. So that means, swarming this may not be the best thing, but we'll keep looking. That has to be determined, right? Because this entire skill does not work. So I am not even going to pretend to try and pronounce this, but this commander's troop takes 10% less damage on the map. That's just, good, just fine as the stat stick. 20% march speed and 30% defense. Just good stuff there, right? That's all standard. A lot of defense stuff going on here. So if this commander is in a field troop, which again is a march on the field, their troop deals 15% more normal damage. Whenever their troop deals combo attack damage, it recovers a large portion of its slightly wounded units, 10% of the combo attack damage dealt, and the units healed by this skill cannot be healed by it again and cannot be severely wounded, but can be slightly wounded until they return to your city. Okay, so that's kind of a lot to digest. And I will point out, right, we just talked about how it recovers a slight portion, or rather a large portion, they say, 10% of your combo attack damage dealt. That, I guess, is amplified by 100% based on the first skill, right? The active skill here. So that's interesting. Let's just talk quick about the expert before I go over those and talk what I think. So now we're actually improving the already pretty interesting and decent active skill by now, instead of 1400 damage, doing 1500 damage. Okay, just take more damage. Why not? We're getting 5% more health, 5% more defense. Okay, let's take it. And then increases the healing by 150%. So that's great, right? And this is a weird commander in the sense that it seems like he has 2 different things going on. He has this big debuff of defense, and he also has this big healing factor that's not a real healing factor. It's almost a combo damage factor being applied to him by healing. What I am interested in here, as I'm going to zoom in and point out directly, is units healed by this skill cannot be healed by it again, but they cannot be severely wounded until they return to your city. So, what does that mean in terms of amplifying it by 150%? Does that mean that you're basically getting almost, and bear with me here, a Richard that doesn't fill the hospital? You're getting a healing commander that, even in the bad situations on the field, won't fill the hospital. That's really interesting. Naturally, that means it has to stay alive, right? If it gets popped instantly, it's not healing. It's not a instant effect. It has to happen on the active skill, but super interesting stuff here. What am I thinking as far as combos, commander combos? Also, by the way, very cool picture. I think that there's a big problem still with the single attack damage. I think he has a really clear path, unfortunately, which I think is going to be Achilles. And I don't know if everyone's going to agree with me here, but we got to look, right? We've got this debuff based on combo attack. Obviously Achilles is spamming out combo attack. More so, what's interesting is the heal, right? This is basically saying that, yes, we understand that Achilles is going to be taking a lot of damage, but he is, when he heals, he's keeping his troop count high, which was the big concern with him, if you remember, from everything I'm sure you've seen in every YouTuber's 1,000 videos on him. His problem was that he lowers health too much so that his AoE doesn't even matter. It doesn't do enough. And he was still good, right? So I say it doesn't matter, but you understand. What this is now going to do is keep him with the high troop count so that he does matter. So this is interesting. I think there's definitely a pairing to be said for Achilles. Not only does Achilles do circle AoE to make up for his single target, I also think that, generally speaking, that there's a lot of defense, there's a lot of health. Right here, right, we're taking 10% less damage. We're gaining 30% defense. Whenever this triggers, which is for the next 5 seconds, so I'd like to think that's almost 100% uptime, you're getting 10% more health, 10% more defense. You're healing. It's very clear to me that they're trying to give survivability to Achilles. I think they're doing it, honestly. So we're going to have to see how this works out in testing. I think, again, single target always terrifies me. So I would definitely not expertise this until we see some pronounced testing, honestly. But I think this is a really good commander to start. So let's get now into David, the garrison. You can see him up here. He's called David the Builder, I believe. So this is the active skill. It's a combo garrison. Launches 2 combo attacks against up to 3 enemy troops in a fan. Damage factor 1400. Immediately cleanses 2 slow, which I guess is for the field, I suppose. Poison, exhaustion, or normal debuffs, which is very interesting, from this commander's troop. If there are multiple stacks of something like poison, I'm sure, it cleanses 1 stack. That's kind of underwhelming, I feel. If you're getting swarmed by something that's applying poison, mainly Herman, obviously. I don't know why necessarily they would make it only 1 stack when poison can stack pretty high, but okay, that's fine. Retaking the Caucasus, I assume that's how that's pronounced. Whenever this commander's troop uses an active skill while attacking a troop on the map, so that's a rally or field troop, I believe, the target troop takes 40% more combo attack damage for the next 3 seconds with a cooldown of 5 seconds. So that's, 2 seconds not up. So we're going to see how that plays into some other skills going on with him and the other commander. So Valiant Monaspa, who knows? This commander's cavalry unit gets 35% defense. They're serving as a garrison. They take 10% less skill damage. That's interesting. Obviously, you're not getting rallied by archers, typically speaking, right? When you're cavalry. So it's a little bit odd. I think that it almost seems to imply that you're taking damage from skill damage, whereas you're probably rallied by some sort of infantry, right? That's obviously the theory. But, I mean, you're countering archers, guess it makes sense. And then swarmers, obviously, you're going to do skill damage. So that's fine. Or some of them will. And then here we go. I'm going to try to pronounce the Basilius of the East. If they're a garrison commander, the garrison does 10% more combo attack damage. This is good. And then whenever the garrison launches a basic attack, it deals combo attack damage up to 3 enemy troops. 200 damage factor. Holy shit. Excuse my language. Wow. So, we got to talk about that in a minute. And then restore the kingdom, the expertise skill, which is another skill, it looks like, not a, adjustment skill. If this commander is serving as a garrison commander, they take 10% less damage. Wow. So they get 20% basically against these archers in a way. Then if its target has less than 50% of units remaining, the garrison deals 5% damage. Wow. Okay. Oh, wow. So let's talk about this. Overall, there's some damage mitigation with things like this, the 10% less damage, 10% less skill damage, 35% defense, but I don't think there's anything else. And that's not amazing, but that's, I think, very on purpose. Why are they doing this? I think this may open the door to someone that we all as a community kind of rejected, Hector. And I really hate to say that, obviously. Hector is rough for us in a lot of ways. But let's talk about the defense you gain, right? I think it's very clear this is punchy. You're getting 10% more combo attack. You're able to do 40% more combo attack. You're spamming these two skills in an AoE. You're, just literally, whenever you're doing a basic attack, it deals combo damage to everyone, like swarmers. That's craziness, right? So how are we going to keep it alive? And let's just take a quick peek, right, at our friend here, Hector. So let's take a quick look at Hector, right? Now we look here. You got to look down here because I'm not getting them. But you get 30% defense. Again, very good. You get 10% health. You're just stacking on the stuff. And then you also go here. Now you're doing things, right? You're getting 10% normal damage reduction. That's big for you who's going to get hit by, these other infantry probably. And then when we look at Cavalry, whenever the troop launches a basic attack, it has a 20% chance to launch an extra combo attack. So now you're spamming extra combo attacks on your basic attack. Super interesting. Overall, right, that gives you some more defense and survivability. Do I think that that's going to be the best garrison? I don't know. I think testing is going to be really important for this commander, largely because of these percentages and the basic attacks. Now, let's look back, right? So whenever we're launching a basic attack, it deals combo damage. Now, look at this. Whenever this commander's troop deals combo attack damage to a field troop, which again are swarmers, it has the chance to debuff them. So what does that actually mean? It means that here, we're spamming combo attack damage every time we're doing a basic attack. So, per se, 2 swarmers. The swarmers now take combo attack, which now makes them eligible for a massive reduction to their defense. Essentially, they're going to shred swarmers. So I actually think there is a weird world where we may see, this guy here, David, pairing with Gang here. And I don't know if that's going to be the case, but we're going to have to see. There's a lot of interesting things. The issues that you run into with pairing with Gang are things like this. It's a field troop, so it takes 10% less damage on the map. There's going to be things that aren't applicable. I don't know if this is going to be the best, but it is really interesting how the synergy works with this open the floodgates skill. But yeah, so overall, what am I thinking? I think Gang and Achilles are clearly meant to be together. I think there's high possibilities that Arthur is obviously going to be thrown into the mix. Testing is going to be huge. I don't think something like, Attila plays in here. I think there's better uses personally, but we will see. I think it's pretty clear, honestly, that he's drawn to be Achilles. He's literally just like, keep your troop count up while your Achilles then spamming damage. It just seems to be the right idea, logically. And then, the garrison here, also leaving a lot to be tested, right? But the ability to amplify this much combo attack damage, you can get up to, 50%? That's pretty impressive for your garrison. And then the basic attacks, just spamming it. Anything that triggers on basic attacks are going to be popping off, which is massive on your cavalry gear. And that's common too if you know garrisons with calves. So, very interesting. I actually do think he's going to become meta for Cav. I'm curious what other people think. I'm getting in early with this vid, so people may disagree. 3:30 a.m. right now when I'm making this. Getting it right away for you guys. So, I do think both these commanders are going to have a place. Get your gold heads ready. Testing is going to be massive. Definitely look out for those tests before you do anything when they do come into the game. I believe at the end of this month. So, with that said, I hope you got some value. I look forward to learning more about these commanders. I may do some testing myself. I have decided to do Achilles. I think I'm going to end up doing something Achilles with Gang, but we're going to have to see what happens. I also think that the, tree is pretty clear what you do with talents, so I don't even need to discuss that. But yeah, if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe. We got a lot of holy good stuff coming, where I think we're finally getting good commanders to break up some current metas. Let's see what happens. Like, subscribe. Take care, everyone.